Before this video starts, I'd like to thank all of you viewers out there for 100 subs. Can't believe that this channel has gotten the support it has, and I'm eternally grateful for it. I'm gonna keep trying to improve the content as this channel's journey continues. With that out of the way, let's begin. With 43 survivors currently in DBD, there's a lot of lore for each to read through, but who wants to read? This series will discuss the survivors' lore in an audiobook type form, so you can listen while doing some other task. This episode will be going over the 4 original survivors: Meg, Dwight, Claudette, and Jake. If you guys like this content, I will continue with more survivors and a separate series for killers. So, let's begin with Before the Fog. Perhaps it was her mother that had instilled the fierce streak in her, or maybe it was her father that left them when she was a baby. Meg excelled at schoolwork, but she was off the rails. Fortunately, an athletics coach encouraged her to channel her misspent energy on the track. She motivated herself into becoming a high school star and earned a scholarship to college. When her mother fell ill, Meg decided to give up her chance at college to care for the woman who had raised her. One summer's day, on a long run deep in the woods, Meg vanished. Search as they did, they never found her body. In the fog. Meg is one of those who's just simply filled with energy, unfocused and uncontrolled energy that had to come out. As a kid, it came out through rowdiness and rebellion. Someone had to focus Meg before something went terribly wrong. Fortunately, someone did. She started to run. Maybe from something undefined that fueled her energy. So to run equaled life, but to run now might attract those beings that crave the pain of others. But as she runs from something instead of towards it, she understands something. She understands that speed is not of the essence, it's reaching that finish line. Rather last, but still breathing. She deludes whatever is out there as she glides through obstacles and fear, thus managing to stay alive. In Tome 4, memory fragments show Meg joining the track team and the subsequent events after, up until she wins a race while running on an injured foot, showing her determination and skill. Before the Fog. Dwight was geeky and scrawny through high school. He always wanted to be one of the cool kids, but somehow never had the charisma. He tried out for the football team, but was cut. The basketball team didn't even take a look, and his grades were distinctly below average. One weekend, on a team-building exercise from his dead-end job, Dwight's boss led them deep into the woods before breaking out his family recipe moonshine. Dwight remembered taking the first sip before waking up the next morning all alone. During the night, the others had abandoned him. Once again, the laughingstock of the community, Dwight tried to hike his way out of the woods. That was the last anyone had ever heard of Dwight Fairfield. Dwight isn't the typical guy you think of when someone says survivor. He lacks that certain pizzazz, and without his glasses, he's more or less blind. But as the sun sets and the woods come alive, Dwight clasps to his rat race life, making sure that he'll live to see another day, even though something unimaginable is after him. Dwight won't stop. He'll survive no matter what. As others spent hours being seen in high school, he spent hours becoming invisible and avoiding danger. And it doesn't matter if it's dangers in the hallways or dangers in the woods. Survival is key. As other employees panic when terror infects them, Dwight makes use of his disturbing teen experience. The tables have now turned, and now others need to follow Dwight's firm directions if they are to survive, as he knows how to disappear. Observer lore. I pity Dwight. It's as though every action he takes brings the opposite of what he intends. Trying to help his fellow employees from an abuser, he ends up shutting down the entire operation, leaving many in a far worse situation than they ever were in. Granted, spiking a narcissist's drink and watching him unravel was worth the price of admission. The many memories of survivors struggling with narcissists have led me to the conclusion that there are only 3 possibilities when relating to a narcissist: enable them, run away from them, or destroy them. But beware, narcissists take everyone with them when they go down. A lawyer offers Dwight millions to settle with the company. He tells them he'll settle if he gets a letter of apology for hiring and enabling a known abuser. They scoff at the request. They would rather give millions of dollars than apologize. Dwight turns down the offer, and I must admit this is something I didn't expect from him. But then again, so many characters I studied over the years have, to one degree or another, contradicted my initial impression of them. I guess that's just what makes them human, the contradictions. Dwight probably should have taken the money and ran. That way, he wouldn't have to endure all those menial jobs throughout his life. But then again, there'd be no elephant incident at the zoo, nor would there be the coyote incident when he worked as a roadkill collector, or even the incident driving the limousine across the country for that metal band. Come to think of it, I'm glad Dwight didn't take the money. I found his memories amusing, if not entertaining. Before the Fog. From the day that her parents gave Claudette her first science kit, she loved experiments. Her single-minded pursuit led to an early scholarship at a great college. It was a huge decision to leave Montreal, but the chance was too good to pass up. Her introverted nature means that chat rooms and forums are now her best source of social interaction. Her new favorite activity is to answer botany questions for others under her new moniker of Science Girl. One evening, during a long bus ride back from the city, Claudette took a stroll that would change her life. It only took a minute for her to get completely disoriented in the thick woods. She never found her way back. Her forum only started to wonder where she was a week after she stopped boasting. In the fog, Claudette is not the outgoing type. Her brilliance provided her with a social handicap, and she has fled the railroad for chat rooms and forums. Botany and studies fill her life, and even though she yearns for something else, it won't come via a modem. Being thrown to a real-life situation can feel awkward and forced, but as she is used to shutting out the world, she suddenly finds hope in this inexplicable darkness that is slowly deriving her. A plant, a tree, a bush. Simple greenery that might save a life. She hides within and amongst them. Her knowledge and skills flourish as gruesomeness roams free around her. Observer lore. I have uncovered, to my amazement and bewilderment, memories of Claudette that are unlike any of those I previously experienced. One might even say they should not belong to her, and yet they are hers. I surmise these memories may belong to another Claudette from another Terra world, suggesting that this old one may have clear preferences at the cosmic buffet for certain souls. It will take more samples of these memories to know if they are in fact from another Claudette, or if, and it is possible, I am having trouble deciphering between her actual memories and her creative musings. Before the fog. Growing up the son of a wealthy CEO was always going to put pressure on Jake Park. When his brother graduated with honors from Yale, the pressure on Jake intensified. Jake just wasn't the academic type, but his father never really understood his refusal to embrace the expensive education he lavished upon him. Eventually, Jake rebelled by dropping out of school entirely. Now, Jake lives off the grid and on the edge of the woods. It's been years since he spoke to his father, but his mother checks in once in a while. It was she who eventually called the police. The cops said he got lost in the woods and the search party looked for days, but gave up as bad weather rolled in. Despite passionate pleas from his mother, they never resumed the search, and Jake went down in history as another casualty of the woods. In the fog. Jake's destiny was set even inside his mother's womb. Heir to wealth, noble manners, and a caretaker of the family reputation and legacy. During torture, it's not pain that breaks a man, it's immense pressure, and Jake couldn't handle any more pressure. Instead, he sought out the opposite of fine dining and maids. He left the grid and ended up with a forest as his closest neighbor. A self-made outsider. Jake understands nature. He's not there to tame something, rather him becoming feral. Remove the brutal killers that seek out blood to train, and Jake would feel just at home. No Wi-Fi, no Fortune 500 companies, no father or mother. Years away from his modern life has given Jake a new feel for problems. Pain is just an obstacle that hinders you from getting fed. No matter what is hunting you, you need to stay one step ahead. Struggle, blend in, adapt. Just don't make it easy for others to erase you from the Earth's surface. Observer lore. The Observer reads a letter from Jake's father. I sit before my journal and don't know what to write. I would like to continue searching the fog for you, but Bridget feels we need to rest, and that there is much we can learn from the previous occupant of this tower. I suppose the only thing I can do now is float with the tide and hope we find something here that brings us closer to the ones we've lost. A few of us gathered around a small fire in the study and told stories about loved ones we've all heard 100 times, but acted like it's the first. I suppose that's because we know it helps to talk, laugh, and remember the good times. Amma told us about her little girl building motorcycle engines, upgrading scooters, and racing them in her small village. This version was a little more embellished than the last. No one can be that good on a scooter, even if it had been modified or upgraded with plain parts. Nevertheless, they were amusing stories, and she told them well up until the moment she stopped abruptly, staring blankly at the fire, lost in a memory. No one said anything for a long while. I stared at the leaping flames and thought of the time you first learned to ride a bicycle. You were 4 years old, and the first thing I taught you was how to fall. I told you to push yourself with your feet and fall safely to the left or right side. We practiced falling safely until the fear of falling was gone. Then I showed you how to pedal fast and use the speed to keep your balance. You succeeded on your first try, because you were no longer scared of falling. You were so happy you jumped off your bike, hugged me, and told me I was the best dad in the world. If I were to die today and live in that moment forever, I would be a blessed man. I miss you with all my heart and hate what happened between us. I only hope for another chance to make things right. That's the end of this episode of Survivor Lore. Let me know if you want more of these videos. If this video does do well, I will continue with a separate series for the killers and a one-off video for characters such as the Observer and Vigo. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.